Let's be real. Everybody is talking about the incredible opportunity with AI. But for most businesses, trying to actually get it working feels like you're in the middle of a storm without a map, right? It's this world of huge promise, but also just total complexity and confusion. So today, let's try to find a clear path right through that chaos. And let's put a number on that chaos. Industry reports show pretty consistently that a staggering 85% of corporate AI projects just fail. They don't deliver, they get bogged down, they don't produce a real return on investment, or they just plain don't move the needle on the things they were supposed to fix. That is a ton of wasted time, money, and energy. So that brings us to the million-dollar question for pretty much every business leader right now. How do you make sure you don't become just another one of those statistics? How do you get your company into that top 15% that actually nails it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. All right, so here's our game plan. We've got a 5-part roadmap to get us there. First, we'll look at the AI implementation puzzle, why so many projects fail. Then we'll talk about the AI audit, which is basically your compass. After that, we'll get into mapping real opportunities with clear ROI, then explore a code-first blueprint for those tricky, complex systems, and finally, wrap it all up into a playbook that actually works. Okay, part 1, the AI implementation puzzle. Look, to solve this thing, we've got to understand why it's so tricky in the first place. And honestly, this isn't a new problem. Every single major tech revolution, from steam power to the internet, created this massive wave of confusion before things started making sense. AI is just the biggest, most complex wave we've ever seen. I mean, think about it, right? The Industrial Revolution created chaos in manufacturing, and that's what gave birth to management consulting. The dot-com boom completely flipped how we interact with customers, and suddenly we needed digital agencies. But today, AI isn't just changing one little department. It has the potential to rewrite your entire business from the ground up. And that level of change creates confusion, which means you desperately need a clear strategic plan. Which brings us perfectly to section 2, the audit. If you're lost in the woods, you don't just start running in a random direction. You pull out a compass. In the wild world of AI, a strategic audit is that compass. It's the one tool that helps you figure out exactly where you are so you can chart a course forward. Now, here's a really critical point. AI adoption is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. For smaller, more nimble companies, we'll call them SMBs, the name of the game is speed and immediate ROI. They're like a speedboat. They need quick wins. But for a larger enterprise, that's more like trying to turn an oil tanker. You're dealing with these huge, complex legacy systems, and you've got to think about cultural shifts and the long-term total cost of ownership way before you even start looking at shiny new tools. For those smaller businesses, the whole process can actually be a super focused 2-week assessment. It's pretty straightforward. You start with discovery, you talk to the key people, you find out what their daily headaches are. Then you literally map out their workflows to see where the real bottlenecks are. From there, you can design some targeted solutions and present a roadmap with clear, quick wins that show a return on investment almost immediately. Okay, let's move on to section 3 and see how this all connects. An audit isn't just some report that's going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. It's about turning all that analysis into a treasure map of high-value opportunities, where every single X on the map points to real, measurable ROI. And this just illustrates the point perfectly. This is real data from an actual audit of a steel company. Just look at the clarity this gives you. For every potential AI project, maybe it's a system for predictive maintenance, maybe it's for optimizing their supply chain. You can see the estimated cost, the direct payoff, and hours saved every single month, and it crystal clear first-year ROI. I mean, when you can make a business case that's this simple, the decision to invest becomes a no-brainer. And that brings us to this, which I think is a really crucial insight. The actual product here isn't just code or some fancy automation. It's clarity. In a world that is just defined by hype and confusion, what businesses are really desperate for is a clear-eyed partner who can show them exactly where to go and why. The dev work, that just becomes the logical next step once you have that clarity. Okay, on to section 4. So we've got our strategic map from the audit. We know where the treasure is buried. But how do you actually build the road to get there, especially if you're a bigger company with ancient legacy systems that have been around for decades? Well, this is where you need a very specific engineering blueprint, the code-first approach. So what on earth is a code-first approach? Well, instead of dreaming up some new feature in a vacuum and then trying to jam it into an old system, you start with the system's actual ground truth, the code itself. This makes sure that any new AI tool you bring in is built to work in perfect harmony with the core business logic that's already running the entire company. And, this is a huge shift from the way things were traditionally done with a design-first philosophy. A design-first idea looks amazing on a whiteboard, but it so often just crumbles the second it meets reality. Why? Because it assumes you have this perfect foundation that almost never exists in a 20-year-old system. It might need a certain kind of data or an API that just isn't there. The code-first approach takes all that risk off the table because it starts by understanding the real foundation, warts and all. I absolutely love this metaphor. A code-first approach basically turns your developer into a digital archaeologist. They aren't just hammering out new code, they're meticulously digging through layers and layers of old code to unearth these critical, often totally undocumented business rules that are the real DNA of the company. It's only after you've done that digging that you can start to strategically build something new on top of it. And now for our final section. Let's land the plane and bring this all home. We've gone all the way from the chaos of the AI revolution to a strategic audit and a technical blueprint. This right here is your playbook for turning that plan into a real, tangible payoff. So here it is, the 4-step playbook for success. Number 1, start with a strategic audit to find your highest impact opportunities. 2, define the business case with clear ROI and target KPIs before you write a single line of code. 3, use a phased, iterative approach. This helps you manage risk and deliver some quick wins along the way. And 4, especially for those complex legacy environments, always build from the code up. So we'll end on this thought. AI is, without a doubt, creating more complexity and more opportunity than any technology we've ever seen. The chaos is absolutely real, but so is the path through it. The only question left is, do you have your compass ready?